Before we get to the video, I just wanted to put it out there. It's been a long week. Been getting here really late at night, so I sound a little tired. So in the beginning, excuse my zombie mode. It was slow going this week. But more importantly, I wanted to say thank you to all the new subscribers. We've been picking up like a steady over 200 subs every month, and it's awesome. We're well on our way to 2250 now. So thank y'all. Hopefully you enjoy. If you've never been here before, please subscribe. Go back and check out everything else, which you'll hear me ramble about that in a little bit. But again, thank you. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Crawford. This is Virginia's for Lowriders. We're back out here again. We're on episode like 400 and something, it feels like. We have officially passed the 40 episode mark. We're into like 43 or something now. If you've never been here before, we're doing a Mazda B-Series from beginning to end. For all the people that have been keeping up with this, they're probably tired of me repeating it, but everything that you can do to a truck, we're doing it. Body drop, 3-link, suspension mods, engine mods, everything. Go back, check out all the old videos. There's a lot of information, a lot of me rambling, a lot of me complaining about A.D.D. and getting straight away, and then the O.C.D. and yeah. We're back out here. We're doing the thing. We're trying to make progress. We have a plan. We're trying to make it to mini nats. I have no idea what stage the truck will be in, but if the truck is in pieces, I'm still going to bring the truck to mini nats and drive around with it on the trailer, I guess. So I will see you guys there for sure. I've already rented a truck. I'm working the trailer portion out because all of my trailers, I don't really trust them for a total of 15 hours worth of driving. We'll just say my trailers are, most of the time, they have scrap vehicles on them or another project. Not really something I trust towing with something I invested time into. That's what we'll say. But we're out here. We're just trying to chip away at the list. Last night I came in, I pulled the top off. I got it completely unbolted. I completely covered all of the sheet metal in Dykem. I'll explain that in a little bit. And we're metalworking the roof. Portion of the reason I cut the big hole in the roof was to avoid basically adding potentially 10 hours of metalworking, and we're trying to skim it down to like maybe 5 hours worth of metalworking. I put in about 2 yesterday, and I got a pretty good head start on this, and it's looking decent-ish. So again, never been here before. Go check out all the videos. I'll explain what I'm doing real quick. So we're going to do some sheet metal work this weekend. We're going to do some body work. We're going to blade a tiny bit of body filler, hopefully. I don't think it's going to get warm enough for me to prime it this weekend, which kind of sucks. But that was what I was hoping. I had to check the weather again, but it's never right. Let's get into it. I'll show you all what we got going on right now. So I don't know if it's my eyes are getting worse or I've just gotten used to doing it this way and it makes it easier for me. This is Dykem. It's layout fluid. Machinists use it. I use it mainly for things like this. If I'm sheet metal working something, it's hard for me to do it off of feel and then just reflection of the lights. So I use this stuff. It's relatively inexpensive. I don't like using rattle can spray paint to do this step because rattle can spray paint doesn't like to come off. Sometimes it'll react with primers and clear coats and it'll eventually just bleed through and cause fish eyes. I try to avoid it. Dykem, haven't had any issues with that. You can get it off with acetone right before you paint, and most of the time it's being sanded off anyway. So whenever I'm hammer and dollying and I'm using this Dykem, I'm using it as a guide. So I completely cover all of the surfaces, which y'all will see in the time lapse from last night. Completely cover it. Take a sanding block, doesn't really matter what grit it is, something that's not going to gouge your sheet metal. run it across all of your sheet metal, and wherever it is dark and the sheet metal, so the sheet metal will be shiny, wherever there's dark spots or low spots, that's still a low spot even though this has a second coating on it. That hasn't been raised up yet. You can kind of catch it in the light. And again, that's why I like to use this stuff, because it shows me exactly what I need to do and what I need to accomplish. You can see here, these are actual grinding marks from when somebody took like an actual grinding stone to it rather than a flat disc or sandpaper. So I got to try to get those out. Maybe just the faintest skim coat just to fill those scratches in. Everything else is looking pretty good. I have this corner pretty much smoothed out and completed. Still working on that corner. Obviously still working on these corners because this is all kinds of wavy. And actually hammering and dialing all of this straight, pick this up, and this doesn't look terrible now. Before I had a big gap in between the rag top and the roof. I'll show you again with an explanation of how this works so it makes more sense as I'm beating the crap out of this roof. So this is 120. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. You're not using it to refine the sheet metal. All you're doing is using this to show your low spots. You see right here, it's a little dark. There's just a little bit of Dicom left there. So I'll spoon this out and we should be able to get that to go away completely. There's the faintest, tiniest bit of paint there. You can see there's little dots. So there's a tiny little low spots. They're faint enough to where you can't actually even feel them. Same thing with this guy and here. So this whole corner is looking pretty good. You can see here, all of those are low spots. And this was after beating on this for almost 2 hours yesterday. So I still gotta chip away at this. I think I'm just gonna let the camera roll, and this is probably what I'm gonna get done for tonight. Again, I'm just gonna run this over here, and you'll really see it on this side since I didn't work on this side. Well, I worked on it for a long time. I didn't get everything out as far as I did on that side. You'll really see the low spots. You see these dark spots, all of these are low spots. Like I had mentioned in the previous video, there is a channel on the back side that runs all the way down here. So on the bottom of this is completely covered and not accessible. What I've been trying to do is take one of my kind of stout body spoons, and there's just enough room that I can get this thing in between those two panels and use this as a dolly while I use another body spoon to help me beat out the dents. I'm going to add the time lapse of yesterday in so you can see how bad this was when I started. Because this little bit here that you can barely feel, this is nothing compared to what it was. believe I am done for the night. It is already like, I think it's like 12:30. No, sorry, 12 o'clock. But as you can see, no more dark spots throughout here. It's pretty smooth overall. This is so flimsy around this edge, and it's getting clamped down. It doesn't really make sense for me to go to the extreme to get that 100%. I started running over everything with a DA. You can see everything is super straight. I got the grinding marks almost 100% beat out of this thing. There's like, I don't know if you can see them in the, yeah, you can see them in the camera. There's like little grinding marks and hammer marks all around on stuff that I haven't even messed with. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's relatively straight. It's held by the light reflecting off the roof. It would take a very, very thin amount of body filler to get this 100%. So I'll just skim it basically through here. I'm not going to do this edge because, like I said, this is going to get warped around and I don't want it to potentially crack anything. So I'll just skim coat this, feather it towards the top, and I think it'll be good. So now, hopefully by the end of the weekend, I can get all this built up 10 layers of paint the rest of the way off of this thing. I got it pretty well stripped, but again, I'm using a very light sandpaper, and you can see that somebody's been in here just grinding away with like an actual angle grinder with a grinding disc, which is pretty terrible, because then that just makes you have to pack body filler into it. And body filling door jambs is not my thing. I try to avoid body filler as much as possible. But I am filthy. I'm going inside, passing out. I'll try to get out of here hopefully sort of early in the morning. And I don't know how far we'll get on bodywork, but we'll see where the A.D.D takes us. I need to get the truck back up in the air. The pinch weld needs to be hammered flat because it looks like this truck's been jacked up with on the actual body 100 times over its life instead of from the frame. So I need to straighten all that out. Need to get the rest of the paint off, and there's a lot of work to do still. And I don't know how on track I can stay. I'm going to attempt to get as much body work done as possible, because it would be nice to at least get the cabin primer by the end of the weekend, if not painted. I really doubt painted, but that's what we're shooting for. It is now Sunday. Last time we talked, it was Friday at midnight. Yesterday, like I tell y'all, I'm not making stuff up. The A.D.D runs rampant. I get carried away. I get into too many things. I was supposed to sell some stuff from some junk cars, grass, put a faucet in, put an alternator on my truck. A lot of like random around the house stuff. So I didn't get out into the garage last night. I attempted to. I sat out here for like 45 minutes. I didn't get anything done. And then eventually James and I went to Home Depot and bought more stuff for my bathroom. So by the time we got back, we both decided we should probably lay it off of it for tonight. But we're back out here. It's kind of late already because, again, I ended up getting straight away. I'm 3D printing some stuff from a friend of mine's car, 3D printing some tool holders. Worked on the bathroom again. We're out here. We're going to get something done. I got the truck up in the air. This is full lift, which is kind of sad. But we limited ourselves with a bag on axle and limited ourselves not knowing that there was drop spindles before this entire project started. So it's automatically 2 inches lower on the front. But it's cool. It is what it is. It's high enough to drive. Usually I'll drive it about this far off the ground anyway. Couple things on the list to do. The bottom portions of the bags need to be bolted in. The pinion on the rear end needs to be adjusted because it's a little off right now. Once that gets bolted in and adjusted, I want to get the truck up on jack stands. I can put the drive shaft in. Like I was explaining the other day, you can see here, this is just beat to crap. There's a couple spots where they clearly tried to jack the truck up. So I need to hammer and dolly all that out. I need to start grinding on this. I went through and found my good Bondo that I bought, or body filler. It's stuck in my head forever. If you hear me say Bondo, I do not mean the pink stuff. Body filler. But I have nice body filler. I kept it in the house where I thought I was keeping all of the paint supplies for this. That way it's out of the temperature change of the garage. There's no hardener in there. I have no idea what I do with the hardener, so I'll be going to the paint shop sometime this week to get hardener for the body filler so we can try and get the body done. It's too humid today. I'm sweating and it's not even hot. It's like 60 something degrees and I am sweating my butt off. It's too humid to paint. It looks like it's gonna pour down rain soon, which it's supposed to. So the body wasn't gonna get done this weekend regardless. We got the roof done. So it's a pretty big step. We're gonna chip away at the list, do small stuff, things that are instant gratification. So that's the plan. Need to get to work. I got like 3 hours of time before I can edit this and get this out to y'all. Because I keep doing this to myself. I don't know why. It's been like 2 hours. Something about getting the pinion right. So I adjusted the upper in and it wasn't right. I adjusted the lowers and I adjusted and adjusted and adjusted. I ended up taking the bags off, putting the mock-up bags on there, getting the bag plates square to each other, putting it all back together, and like 2 hours went by. So now we need to actually do the thing I said I was going to do before I turned the camera off. We now have, I kind of see it right there, my desired pinion angle, which is like -3-ish. The trans mount still needs to be replaced. It's going to get lifted up a little bit. So all my measurements, that should be right. I had a little clip in of the pinion change, and there's little to no pinion change throughout the entire motion of the airbags. So everything seems to be spot on. That clip is from before I got it to the 3 degrees that it is now. So just putting that out there. I don't have it at 0 right now. So I'm gonna call onto here, flip out a bunch of the junk, throw this drive shaft in there, and hopefully it goes right in. With the way it's been going today, probably not. I do not have any 3/8 lock nuts. That's what I'm going to do. Left in my bolt bin. So I will have to pick some of those up this week, so I can actually permanently bolt this thing into place. To give a little context on, if you're asking me, why are you bothering keeping the pinch weld? Why wouldn't you just cut it off if you body dropped the truck? Which I did body drop the truck, and the pinch weld is now flush with the frame. So whenever the frame lays out, it lays pinch all the way across. And the reasoning behind me keeping it, I've explained it in previous videos. This is a four-wheel drive fender. The four-wheel drive fenders sit completely flush with the bottom of this pinch. And I don't know about your areas, but in our area, four-wheel drive sheet metal is getting really hard to find. When you do find it, it's usually rusted all to crap. I actually have relatively nice four-wheel drive sheet metal, and I'd rather not trim it. So in keeping this 3/4 of an inch, if that, maybe even just a 1/2 inch of material, I don't have to ruin or modify I'm not going to say ruin. I don't want to have to modify a good set of fenders by chopping the ends off. Same thing with the bed. You have to trim the bed. I don't want to get into all that. Just keeping this little bit is prevents hours and hours and hours of work for, like I said, 1/2 inch of material. Not worth my time. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, how bad that is, and if it picks it up. I'm actually going to have to stud gun the cab corner down. Hopefully I can get this down. That's pretty bad. I actually didn't even realize how bad that is. It's like shaped like this. It's like somebody ran it up on a curb or something at some point. Oh, that actually pulls it down some. Not enough, but some. This is way worse than I thought it was. Literally everything on this truck is like a struggle to get it like right. The truck might be rust free, but it is not dent free. When it came to the roof, and now when it comes to the bottom. I don't know if somebody hit a curb or ran something over, but the straight edge is flush and flush. And there is a, I don't know, 1/4 inch gap in the center. It goes pretty far along. It's already late. It's like 7:30. Usually I try to get this things edited and start that process by 7:30. So I'm gonna start beating this out, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up. It's kind of a short video. Doesn't seem like a lot was done, but there was still 10+ hours of solid work put in the last couple days. It's just not very exciting, very time consuming work. I'll say that. I'll show you how to use a stud gun real quick, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up for today. So this is a stud gun. I guarantee every body guy that follows me has used these 1,000 times in their life. It has these little steel, copper-coated steel studs. You just slip them in the stud gun, point it in the direction of the dent, squeeze the trigger for a few seconds, pull it off, and the stud stays in place. I have an actual slide hammer. This area is way too tight to use the slide hammer. I also have this stud puller thing. So you position it somewhere where you can pry. Let me see if we can get closer. You can see what it's doing. So watch this sheet metal in this area. You can see it slowly pulling that down. So what I'll do is basically run a row of studs all the way across this thing and slowly work it down all the way across. Just that little bit of pulling actually made a difference that you can feel. You only want to do it for, it's like 1.5 seconds. Or it's a very, very short amount of time. If you go too long, you can actually burn the sheet metal. Or if there's still paint there, that's where that spark's coming from, because I didn't get everything off of there and it's making kind of crappy contact. Alright, my GoPro died, so we're going to finish this up on the phone. I know that I used an excessive amount of the studs. I bought these from a guy at Hershey, Pennsylvania, swap meet 2 or 3 years ago. There is a ton of them. I might have $10 in all of this. I know that you can reuse these things if you're really delicate and you don't weld them on there, like extremely stout. I don't like you squeeze the trigger for 1/10 of a second less, I guess. I have plenty to spare. But this is where we're at so far. If I can hold this thing on there straight. It's pretty well straight now. So I'll have to come in and go in there with some studs on all the spots that I missed. I have to figure out how to clamp a hold of this thing and pull this whole pinch weld down at once. I'm kind of thinking, I've been looking for an excuse to buy a Mo clamp anyway. Mo clamp here, pry bar against the frame. It'll actually straighten a lot of this out at the same time. So that's it for the weekend. It's already like 8 o'clock. If this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you again next weekend. We'll be getting it done. Hopefully with the same goal as this weekend. Getting this thing in primer. Trying to get some paint on this thing. I have like 2 weeks left. Pretty sure. It's the 19th. So yeah, 2 weeks before I'll see y'all. And the truck is nowhere close to being done. Not at all. So yeah, see you next weekend.